Hi there, this is Sean from AMP, and I'm here to talk about proactive user engagement, otherwise known as messaging. If you run a mobile app, you know it doesn't matter if you have the best features, or the cleanest navigation, or the most powerful search, or even the highest quality offerings if you can't get your users to come to the app in the first place. Messaging is how you actively reach out to your users so they can get value from all the awesome things you offer, so you can get value from that relationship. Now, most messaging follows what we might call the standard advertising design of user engagement. You divide users into segments, create a campaign that sends a message to each of the segment's users, and in the end, you bring everything back together and compare campaign performance to see how each segment is doing. This is super broken. In advertising, you're playing a numbers game. You get your message in front of lots of eyeballs, and some low percentage of those impressions will convert. And if your message doesn't resonate with the majority of users, well, messages are relatively cheap, so no harm done, right? Wrong. User engagement isn't advertising. You know these users, and they know you. You're not forming a first impression. You're managing a relationship. It may be unfair, but users see stale, generic, irrelevant messages as the hallmark of a stale, generic, irrelevant product. And that's not the sort of relationship you want. And it's not the sort of relationship they want. Messages that miss the mark carry a cost. Segments are the real problem here. An effective messaging segment requires you to know the answers to several pretty major questions in advance. How do you know who to put in which segment? How do you know what the users in each segment want to hear about? How do you know when they want to hear about it? How do you know how they want to hear? What actual words to use? And the big one, once you see the results, how do you figure out what to do next? Because I promise you, you can't send the same message that worked last time. It's just a little too obvious. Very few people can confidently answer all of these questions ahead of time. And those who are confident in these answers shouldn't be. You can easily Google loads of opinions about best practices for setting up segments, and 99% of that advice is based on assumption rather than evidence. How do I know that? Because setting up segmented campaigns to test all possible answers to each of these questions about who, what, when, how, and what next, that would take forever. In reality, the people testing best practices are either just spouting an opinion with no evidence, or they've tested a small handful of the full range of possibilities, and they've assumed there's nothing more to see. There's a better way. I like to call this better way the guess, learn, adapt design of user engagement. Here's how it works. Write a whole bunch of messages. Don't just write the message you think is going to work for the largest number of users. Write messages that you think will work for a small niche. Write messages about all of your major product lines. Think about all the different reasons someone could choose to invest in the product and write a message for each one of those reasons. Write all the messages. Send those messages to all kinds of users. Don't choose which users get which message ahead of time because you don't really know who should get what. This is the guess part of the design. Randomly send out different messages to different users. Now, instead of generating results at the end, we generate them in the middle. This is the learn part of the design. Compare the performance of different messages being sent to different users, and then allocate users to segments based on what you've learned. If a user responded to a message that highlighted a certain value proposition, put them in the segment of people who respond to that value proposition. Form your segments based on the business categories you actually care about. Use those segments, finally, to choose the next messages. If you offer multiple product lines and you have a segment of users who seem to really like one of those lines, send them another message about that. You still have all those messages you wrote at the very beginning, so it's just a matter of picking something that fits and trying it. The guess, learn, adapt design automatically crafts your segments to reflect your business priorities. You can loop through the process again and again and again, each time getting a clearer, better picture of what each user prefers and sending them messages that fit those preferences. Now, I can hear you saying, that all sounds really hard. It is. And that's why we built tools that make it easy. Writing tons of messages about all aspects of your business, easy. In my second video, I'm going to show you how we can write dozens or even hundreds of different messages in minutes. Randomly assigning different messages to different users, also easy. In my third video, I'm going to show you how we set up an AMP campaign, which is unlike a regular marketing automation campaign. It will run forever, even if you change your messages. Dynamically allocate different users to different segments and make appropriate messaging choices going forward. It's so easy you don't actually have to do anything other than write the messages and set up the campaigns to make it happen. In my fourth video, I'll explain how AMP combines machine learning with experimental design to automatically adapt to whatever your users' preferences are. And then getting your business priorities and your data into AMP so you can use all of our current tools, also easy. In my fifth video, I'll show how you ingest your data. Spoiler, it does not involve an SDK or monopolization of your engineering team. And I'll also show how you set up your business logic. So, head on over to those other videos and we'll show you how it's done.